What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Coding Cove. Quick reminder before we start, if you want notes on C or Python, check the link in the description. It's 90% off right now, but only for a limited time, so grab it while you can.
Have you ever wondered what actually happens when you run Python code? You write some code. You press enter. And somehow, Python gives you an answer. But who is actually reading your code? How does Python understand what you wrote? And what's the difference between typing Python directly into the terminal and running a Python file? In this video, we're going to answer all of those questions. Let's start with the most important question. What is the Python interpreter? The Python interpreter is the program that reads and executes your Python code. In simple terms, it takes your Python instructions and makes them run. Think of it like a chef. You write a recipe. The chef reads the recipe and follows the instructions. Your Python code is the recipe. The Python interpreter is the chef. And the result is your program's output. Now, there are two main ways you can use Python: interactive mode and script mode. Interactive mode lets you run Python code one line at a time and immediately see the result. Script mode lets you write your Python code in a file and then run the entire program. Let's start with interactive mode. Interactive mode is also called the REPL. REPL stands for read, evaluate, print, and loop. Python reads what you enter. It evaluates your code. It prints the result when there is a result to display. And then it loops back and waits for your next command. To start the Python interpreter, open your terminal and type Python. Then press enter. You should see some information about your Python installation. And near the bottom, you'll see 3 greater than signs. These 3 symbols are called the Python prompt. Now you can start entering Python code. For example, we can print a message. Type print, open parenthesis, quotation mark, hello, world, exclamation mark, quotation mark, close parenthesis. Python immediately executes the code and displays hello, world. We can also perform calculations. For example, 2 plus 3. Python gives us 5. We can create variables too. For example, name equals Alice. And then we can print the variable. Python gives us Alice. We can even experiment with Python functions. For example, quotation mark, Python, quotation mark, dot, open and close parentheses. Python returns Python. And if we use the len function with the word hello, Python gives us 5. This is what makes the Python interpreter so useful. You can try something, see what happens, and immediately try something else. You don't need to create an entire program just to test one small idea. Interactive mode is especially useful for quick calculations, testing functions, experimenting with syntax, exploring Python, and debugging small pieces of code. For example, we can try 10 multiplied by 5. Oh, quotation mark, hello, quotation mark, dot, open and close parentheses. Or even a list comprehension. You can experiment with Python and immediately see the result. When you're finished using the interactive interpreter, you can type exit, open and close parentheses. and Python will return you to the normal terminal. On Mac and Linux, you can also press Ctrl-D. On Windows, you can press Ctrl-Z, followed by Enter. So that's interactive mode. But what happens when you want to build an actual Python program? That's where script mode comes in. In script mode, instead of typing your code one line at a time, you save your code inside a Python file. Python files normally use the .py extension. For example, hello.py. Let's create a simple program. Inside hello.py, we can write a print statement that displays hello, world. Then we can ask the user for their name. And finally, we can print a personalized message. Once the code is saved, we can run the entire program from the terminal. We simply type Python hello.py. Python reads the file and executes the program. The output might look like this. Hello, world. What's your name? The user enters Alice. And Python responds, nice to meet you, Alice. So now we have seen both modes. Interactive mode is great for experimenting. Script mode is great for building programs. Let's compare them. In interactive mode, you work directly in the Python interpreter. You enter code one line at a time. You get immediate feedback. And it's perfect for testing ideas and experimenting. In script mode, your code is stored inside a .py file. You can write multiple lines of code. You can save your program. And you can run it whenever you want. So here's a simple way to remember this. Interactive mode is for experimenting. Script mode is for building.
Now let's look at something a little more interesting. What actually happens behind the scenes when you run a Python program? Suppose we have a file called hello.py. And we run Python hello.py. First, Python reads the source code in our file. With the standard Python implementation, called CPython, that source code is compiled into an intermediate form called bytecode. The bytecode is then executed by the Python virtual machine. And eventually, we see the output from our program. So you can think of the process like this: Python source code, then bytecode, then the Python virtual machine, then program output. This is one reason why simply saying that Python is an interpreted language can be a little misleading. Python's execution process is more complicated than simply saying Python code goes directly to the computer. In CPython, your source code is compiled to bytecode before that bytecode is executed by the Python runtime. You don't need to memorize all of these details yet. For now, just remember, source code becomes bytecode, and the Python virtual machine executes that bytecode. Now let's look at a few useful Python commands. If you want to check your Python version, you can use Python ---- version. You can also use the shorter command Python -v. Both commands tell you which version of Python you're using. Python also has a built-in help system. Inside the interpreter, you can type help, open and close parentheses. You can also ask for help about a specific function. For example, help, open parenthesis, print, close parenthesis. Python will show you information about the print function. And if you're working with Python packages, you can use piplist. This shows the packages installed in your current Python environment. Now, if you've worked with C before, you might notice that Python works a little differently. In C, we normally write our source code and use a compiler, such as GCC, to compile it into machine code. For example, we might write a C program containing printf, open parenthesis, quotation mark, hello, world, exclamation mark, \n, quotation mark, close parenthesis. Then we compile it using GCC. The result is an executable program that can be run by the operating system. Python has a different execution model. With CPython, your source code is compiled into bytecode, and that bytecode is executed by the Python virtual machine. So you can think of the difference like this. For C, source code, then compiler, then machine code, then the CPU. For Python, source code, then bytecode, then the Python virtual machine, then the program output. This is one of the important differences between the two languages. Now let's put everything we've learned into practice. Open your terminal and start the Python interpreter. Type Python. Then try this. 10 plus 20. You should get 30. Next, try quotation mark, hello, space, quotation mark, multiplied by 3. And then try len, open parenthesis, quotation mark, Python, quotation mark, close parenthesis. Once you're finished, exit the interpreter. Now let's create a real Python script. Create a file called greeting.py. Inside the file, write a program that prints a welcome message. Then ask the user for their name. Ask for their age. And finally, print a personalized message. Save the file. Then run it using Python greeting.py. You should see your program running in the terminal. And that's the basic workflow you'll use again and again when working with Python. Write your code. Save the file. Run the file. See the output. Let's do one more exercise. Create a file called calculator.py. Inside it, create two variables. Set x to 10. Set y to 5. Then print their sum. Print their difference. Print their product. And print their division. Save the file. Then run Python calculator.py. You should see the results printed in your terminal. And now you understand the two main ways of using the Python interpreter. Let's quickly recap. The Python interpreter is the program that executes Python code. Interactive mode, also called the REPL, lets you enter code one line at a time and immediately see the results. Script mode lets you save your Python code inside a .py file and run it as a complete program. And behind the scenes, CPython compiles Python source code into bytecode, which is then executed by the Python virtual machine. So the next time you type Python, you know that there's much more happening behind that command than it might seem. And now here's a quick challenge for you. Without running the code, what do you think this will produce? X equals 5. X multiplied by 2. X plus 10. Pause the video. Think about the answer. Then run it yourself and see if you were correct.
That's it for today's video, guys. I hope you learned something new. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. And remember, if you want notes on C or Python, the link is in the description. 90% off for a limited time only. Don't miss out. See you in the next video.